A Christmas Carol. It was Christmas Eve at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and in the city of London it was very cold and almost dark. There was no sunlight because of the thick fog in the air. In the center of the city, two names were painted on the door of an old building: Scrooge and Marley. Jacob Marley had died 7 years ago. As for Ebenezer Scrooge, he didn't like people. He didn't care about people. He cared about only one thing: money. He had no friends. Nobody visited his house. Nobody said hello to him as he walked through the street. Scrooge did not complain because he wanted his life to be this way. He liked writing down amounts of money that people owed him and people had given him in his account books. He also liked working in his office, even on Christmas. Nonsense. Rubbish. Christmas is nonsense. It's humbug. Bah, Scrooge said. It was cold outside, but the fire in the fireplace was very small. The door of Scrooge's office was open, and he could see in the next room, which was very small and cold too. Bob Cratchit worked there. He could not have a bigger fire, because Scrooge kept most of the coal in his own office, and Scrooge wouldn't let Bob have another piece of coal. Still, Bob continued working for Scrooge. Suddenly, Fred, Scrooge's nephew, opened the door and invited him to have dinner with Fred's family. "Never! You mustn't say anything more, nephew." "Goodbye," said Scrooge, and continued working. As Fred left, a gentleman came in. He asked money for the poor people who lived in prisons and workhouses. "Good. Put the poor people in workhouses. There are too many people in the world. Tell them to go away and die. Goodbye." So the gentleman left. At last, Scrooge decided it was time to stop work. He and Bob went home and ate dinner, Bob with his family and Scrooge alone. Suddenly, Jacob Marley's ghost appeared next to the fire. He said 3 other ghosts were going to appear that night: Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, and Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. They were going to help him to be good and kind to other people. Ghost of Christmas Past showed Scrooge how Christmas was when he was a boy and a teenager. He was happy back then, but as he grew up, Christmas got sadder and sadder. An hour passed, the ghost was gone, and Scrooge was sleeping in his bed. Scrooge was ready for the following ghost. Ghost of Christmas Present showed Scrooge how Christmas was at present, but in other places of different families: the Cratchits' house, Fred's family, and more. Then they saw 2 poor children in old clothes. He remembered his own words. "Put the poor people in workhouses," he said. He had said them to the gentleman. He wanted to say something to the ghost, but it was no more there. Then the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come appeared. This ghost showed Scrooge terrible things that would happen in the future. He would die, and people were happy about this. Nobody would care about his death, and nobody would go to his funeral. People would steal the things of his house. Tiny Tim, Bob Cratchit's little child, also would die. Tim was seriously ill, but he couldn't be treated because Scrooge didn't pay a decent wage to Bob. Scrooge also remembered the words he had said to the gentleman that day. "There are too many people in the world. Tell them to go away and die." He was horrified of himself. Then he decided that he would live a better life and he would care about people. He would think about past, present, and future. Scrooge closed his eyes and then opened again. He was in his own bedroom. "Jacob Marley, thank you for sending the 3 ghosts. Thank you for coming to help me," he said. He was happy. He had a Merry Christmas. He visited his nephew Fred, and he sent a turkey to Bob Cratchit's house for Christmas dinner. He helped poor people. He paid a doctor for Tiny Tim and raised the wages of Bob. The gentleman came again, and Scrooge gave him a lot of money. He also bought more coal, and the office was not cold anymore. After the visit of the 3 ghosts, Scrooge was finally a changed man. He treated others with kindness, generosity, and compassion. Everyone remembered him as a man who has the true spirit of Christmas.